Hello and welcome to the Downsized Dish. We are on the Downsized at Sea cruise, and I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you for being here. We've got about 52, 54 people that came with us on the Downsized cruise. So we've also got Jeff and Gina Lab with us. They are GLP-1 users. Well, Gina is a GLP-1 user.
He's a GLP-1 supporter.
Yeah. Right. What is it they said? Remember Greece? If you can't be athletic, then be an athletic supporter. So anyway, this is how my mind works, right? Okay. So anyway.
Makes editing exciting.
But this is our series, The Downsized Dish, where we talk to people about their journey with GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, Zepbound, tirzepatide, semaglutide. And I've lost over 50 pounds on the GLP-1 medication tirzepatide. And this is my husband, Christopher Durham.
Well, I've lost 100 pounds on Zepbound, Mounjaro, tirzepatide. We always, of course, like to add, for everybody out there who's seen these, we're not doctors, not a doctor, not
Right.
a doctor, not
Right.
a doctor. Please talk to your doctor. These are prescription medications. You want to make sure you have a plan just for you. And of course, if you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe button.
Right. Now we know all the people in our audience today should be liked and subscribed. Yeah, yay. I've actually never done a downsized dish with people staring back at me. So this should be interesting. And maybe we'll take some questions at the end from our audience. Maybe. Just call me Oprah, right? No. But welcome, Jeff and Gina, to the Downsized Dish. We're glad you're here. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us today. So, Gina, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. My name is Gina Lab. I also have been taking Mounjaro for 76 weeks now.
Ooh.
76 weeks. I have a YouTube channel as well, Anchor Moments. And actually, we have two YouTube channels. We have Anchor Moments that I started in 2019 after I wrote my book, Anchor Moments, Hope, Healing, and Forgiveness. And
available on Amazon.
Available
All right.
on Amazon.
Link in comments. Yeah.
And I also have a second YouTube channel that we started when we got our van that got converted into an RV, and we call that one Anchor Moments RV, where we're taking anchor moments on the road.
Oh, all right. Okay.
And it's been a lot of fun. And I've originally was a school teacher, and I taught third grade and kindergarten for 11 years. And I did the stay-at-home mom thing, and then I worked for a lot of nonprofits part-time while raising my kids.
Oh, nice. So you've been busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now you're empty nesters, I guess. So you're on the road RVing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying it. It's
Well,
been
good.
so much fun. And I just can't thank you guys enough because for 30 out of 35 years of our marriage, Jeff wanted to RV. And I told him, I hate car trips. I can't do that with you. You have to marry someone else. That's not my thing. And he's like, oh, no, I didn't say that. And I did say I would not RV with him. And he was like, oh, it'd be so great, you know. And I was just like, nope, that's not my thing. And then 5 years ago, he would come home from work and he'd watch YouTube channels all the time about how to make your own RVs and stuff. Mm-hmm. And he finally worked me down, and I said, okay, we can give it a shot, you know. Yeah. And oh my gosh, well, I tried it. I love it. I think I might even love it more than him.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's just so much fun. And for 35 years of our marriage, every year of our marriage, I've asked Jeff to go cruising with me.
Oh.
And Jeff has said, no, 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 no. Every time there's a cruising catastrophe on the news, he's like, see? Aren't you glad we're not on that boat? And so I've never been able to get him on a cruise. So I cannot thank the two of you enough for this one.
Yeah, thanks.
And I also have to give a shout out to Mindy, because I had Mindy on my show as well.
Yeah.
And Mindy remembered that Jeff and I do a power word of the year.
Oh.
Instead of doing New Year's resolutions, because who keeps their New Year's resolutions? Really?
Lose weight, lose weight.
Yeah, exactly. Every year. Well, we started doing a power word. And well, actually, I started doing Power Word a few years ago, and my Power Word for this year was explore.
Ooh.
Because I want to explore new places.
Yes.
And I also want to explore new fruits and vegetables and good healthy recipes. And I talked Jeff into choosing a Power Word this year.
And what did he
and
choose?
he chose
Embrace. To embrace things that I'm maybe afraid of.
Okay.
Or things that maybe my wife says, do this.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's funny. It was his dream to RV, but he was afraid to drive in the mountains of Colorado.
Oh.
And I really gave him a hard time. I'm like, listen, you talked us putting our life savings into this vehicle.
Oh.
You're taking us in the mountains. We're going
Yeah.
everywhere. I want to see all 48 states that are easy to drive to. I want to see all of those, you know, and
Right.
I want to do a cruise in Alaska. I think that'd be
We'll put it on the
quite cool.
list. Yeah.
And go to Hawaii. So I
that'd be all
pushed
50.
him.
Yes.
I pushed him.
Yes.
And so he's decided that, yes, he would embrace that fear.
Okay.
Well, Mindy was like, hey, Gina, the Downsized's having a cruise. I was like, wow, I would love to go, but I can't. You know, we're going to be in the middle of an RV trip at that time. We've already paid for some of the things. And she's like, well, didn't Jeff say he would embrace the fear? And,
Got him.
yeah, because I said, and Jeff will never go. I've asked him for 35 years, and he said no. But didn't he say he would embrace the fear and do it anyway? And so I was like, I'm going to work on that. So that night, I really pushed him on that. And Jeff is a very ethical person, and he is a man of his word. So that was really troubling for him. So
he's like,
really
"Oh, no."
helpful, Mindy.
Yeah.
Very, very helpful, Mindy. And Mindy is in the audience right now, so I'm looking directly at her. But it was so helpful. And then I told him, I'll make you a promise. If you do not have a good time on this cruise,
Uh-oh.
I will never, ever ask you again to go on another cruise with me.
Fair.
I'll go. I'm going to go with girlfriends. I'm cruising.
And I said, that's fine.
Yeah. Actually, at Christmas time, because I really wanted to, I'm like, oh, come on. And Jeff said, I tell you what, Gina, I will pay for you to go on a cruise with a girlfriend, but I'm never going to do it.
Oh, wow.
And so my girlfriend Nora and I, we've been trying to figure out what cruise we were going to go on. And then Mindy came up with this one.
And here we are today.
And here's Jeff.
Yes.
So tell
and
us,
so
Jeff,
far-
how is it so far?
So far, I'm having fun.
Okay, good. Yay!
It's like a big camper.
Yes, right. It's like an RV on the ocean.
Yeah.
Well, so Jeff, tell us about you, though.
Well, I also was a teacher. I taught elementary school, first grade, second grade, third grade, then first grade again for a long time, and then I taught kindergarten. Best grade.
Wow.
Oh,
They
yeah.
learn so much. It's so much fun, except for the first week where they're, they have to pee their pants.
Right.
Cry.
They cry. but love that. Then was a media specialist at a school, kind of like a glorified librarian with a computer lab, and was webmaster for the school district where I worked. I'm retired now in Chandler, Arizona. Hi, everybody. Chandler. And I have been a supporter of Gina through things like Weight Watchers through the years.
A lot of years of that,
Yeah.
off and on.
Using things like MyFitnessPal. No, you never used MyFitnessPal.
I did
You
just
did
a
that on
little
paper.
bit. I'm old school.
But
I
you
like
did
to write
perfect.
down.
The
paper tracker.
I'm a
Yeah,
paper
paper
tracker, and I
tracker.
draw my own.
Yeah.
And I have my own goals every
Right.
day
Okay.
to
But she
hit.
would ask me, so how many calories are in this thing? And I have to look up MyFitnessPal for it.
You mean you can get your husband to do that for you? I never thought of that.
You wouldn't have believed me anyway.
No, I wouldn't have. I don't believe. An apple, 100 calories? Let me look at that myself. Yeah.
And then when she was diagnosed with diabetes, type 2 diabetes, then, it all became more important and more real that we really have to take this seriously.
Yeah.
And how long ago was that, Gina?
It was during the pandemic.
Okay.
Our original YouTube channel, Anchor Moments are the moments in your life that have anchored your faith. And so what I really enjoy is just asking people of various faiths, where did you see God in your life? you know, that and that special moment that you knew that God was real for you, and share that, and just to hear those stories.
Oh, wow.
And so I captured a lot of those stories, and it grew my channel a little bit. But then when I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, it was, it was during the pandemic, and we were baking a lot and doing, all the things. And when, and we discovered then how to do Zoom, and I could get people from all over to be guests on my show, which was great because I chair a lot of interfaith prayer breakfasts. And a lot of times we'll have keynote speakers that are really outstanding that live, far away. And I got to bring them in and capture their stories, which I already knew were fabulous. And that would be really fun. But it takes a long time to edit a video. So when Jeff would finish editing a video, we would go to Bosa Donuts as his reward. And we would have donuts.
Those are really good ones.
Yeah.
I mean, I love a donut. so-
Yeah. And so a little confession here. Usually when we go to Bosa Donuts, I would get 2 donuts. Well, the people at Bosa really liked us because we'd come and we'd be just so joyful. And they gave us extra donuts one day. And so
No
when
such thing as extra.
and so we had extra donuts, and they were all my favorites because they knew me. So I mean, I had the sprinkles, and I had all my favorites were in there. And in one day, I ate 3 donuts. I've never eaten 3 donuts, I swear, in my life, except for that day.
You've never
And
been
when-
to Krispy Kreme.
I love Krispy Kreme too. Oh no, I
The
love
hot
Krispy
ones.
Kreme
Like
too.
air and sugar. You could just.
Oh yeah, with the frosting on the inside.
I
vanilla
do.
cream.
I do
Just the
like
hot
those
now.
with the
Yeah,
frosting on the
that's my
inside. Yeah,
favorite.
yeah.
But anyway, when I finished that 3rd donut, I was sitting in my chair and I was watching TV, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I had electricity, like a fiery, burning electricity in my feet that shot up my leg. And I was like, what is that? And I'm looking, and there's like, there's no live wires that I'm stepping on.
Yeah.
Like, what in the world is that? And it really scared me. It didn't last long, thank goodness, because seriously, it did feel like my legs were on fire, and electrical fire. And so I knew I got to see the doctor. And I realized, I'm usually good about doing my well checks every year, but it was the pandemic. So you didn't want to go to the doctor unless you were like deathly ill.
Right.
And I made a doctor's appointment because I'm like, I got to get this seen because this was crazy weird. I'm either losing my mind or I'm losing body parts, but something's not right. And when I went to the doctor, sure enough, son of a gun, type 2 diabetes. And
What was your A1C back then?
10.2.
Oh.
And that's the suicide. They call that the suicide level. So anyone out there, if you're over 10 or over, you got to take care of that, because at 10 or over, if you stay at that level, you're going to lose your kidneys. You can lose limbs. And eventually you'll lose your life early because that's just way too high. My fasting blood sugar was, like 220, 230, and that's fasting. Then just a crazy high A1C. So just terrible. And my doctor called me and said, you got to come in right away, because he wanted to get me started. And he told me, he gave me all the things, the pricking your finger things, and started me on metformin. And he said, we're going to start you on metformin, and then we'll chat. There's all kinds of diabetes drugs out there that you can take with it later. So I was like, okay, but we'll start you with metformin. And he also said, I need you to take a 6-week class with a registered dietitian, and it's at the hospital. It's absolutely fantastic. So he said, your insurance will pay for it, which was great, and they did.
Even better.
Which was wonderful. And it was an absolutely fantastic class. So I really learned how to eat well. And I had, it was a group class. It was online though, because it was the pandemic, but it was a group class. But then you also went once a week, one-on-one with the registered dietitian. And I learned so much from that. And then Jeff and I were like, we were exercising. We started, and we have it on our channel. We called it the 4-4-4 plan, where we'd eat
4 meals a day, about 400 calories each meal, about 4 hours apart.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Not strictly,
Yeah.
but and I lost 72
72
pounds.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And we were very, very religiously following that.
Yeah.
And
And we did little YouTube videos about that.
you know what helps though, when you have someone who has a health problem and you love them, that you want to support them and do the same, you know, to be able to do the things that are going to preserve, like Gina's health.
Aw, that's so sweet.
He's
And
my
it helped
favorite.
me too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because Jeff had always been so skinny. I mean, seriously, when we first got married, I almost worried about marrying him because he was so thin. And at the time, but seriously, because at the time I was
You can see that's not the
115
case now.
pounds. I was doing my student teaching,
Mm-hmm.
and I had gained 40 pounds in college, and I wanted to get rid of it. And I was trying to hit that. You know, Weight Watchers said I had to be 110. Oh, good grief! I had to starve myself to be
Wait a
110.
minute, how tall are you?
I'm 5'2.5".
Okay, that helps.
And Weight Watchers,
Yeah.
Weight Watchers would round it down to 5'2". And Dr. Gannon, who I love dearly, for 35 years he was my doctor till he just retired, but he would round up to 5'3".
Oh.
So I say 5'3" now.
Yeah.
But Weight Watchers would say 5'2", and at 5'2" as a woman, it was 110.
Wow.
Was
I mean,
my
years ago, yeah.
Years ago.
Yeah.
Years ago. I'm old. So years
yeah.
ago. 110, and I'd gotten down to 115, but I would eat so few calories during the day, and I would ride an exercise bike for 2 hours at night when I'd come home from student teaching.
And you watched All My Children. while you-
Yeah, I used to tape all my children, and then I would watch that to motivate me for something fun to get on there. So I was at my thinnest at 115, and that was very, very thin. Because I have a lot of muscles. Even when I'm skinny, I've got a big round butt. So even at 115, and so 115 really is the skinniest. It's almost too thin for me. But I was at my thinnest, and I went swimming with Jeff, and I'm like, oh my God, he's thinner than me. And I'm not going to be able to keep this up. My whole life. I'm
right.
going to have kids one day.
2 hours on the bike and yeah.
I'm not going to be able to keep this up. And so I was worried, is he going to love me when I'm chubby? Because I don't think I can stay this skinny. And sure enough, I couldn't, because once I had kids,
Yeah. Right.
it just every year, it would just get more and more and more. But he could eat a half gallon of ice cream, and he'd get, the party size of chips. And that was his personal serving, was that bad. And he would weigh the same in the morning. He wouldn't gain an ounce from all of that. He could just eat and eat and eat. And that was part of why I didn't want to do an RV with them, because if we'd go on, we used to like to go up to Williams, Arizona, up in the mountains, and about a 2 to 3 hour drive to get up there. He would have to eat constantly while driving in the car. Just like this the whole time, and it's Doritos and all kinds of stuff going in. And I'd be on Weight Watchers, so I'd have to, and that was back with the points.
Oh my God. One
And so
chip
I
is
would
1
just-
point.
Oh my gosh, exactly. And I would just be starving because I'd be
Yeah.
smelling him. I'm always on the seafood diet. If I see food, I want to eat it, And so it'd be so hard. One funny personal joke. One time I'm like, I can't handle this, because I'm not going to be able to lose weight for the wedding because you're constantly munching and crunching on me. And, but I hate Fig Newtons. So he got a bag, the full container of Fig Newtons.
I like Fig Newtons.
He likes Fig Newtons. And we were still just engaged and everything. So, and we're in a car with the windows rolled up. So
So this
ate,
is a good story to tell.
Well, a little comedy here. He ate the entire bag of Fig Newtons.
Oh.
Note
And
to
when
self.
we got
Those have fiber in them, right?
yes, a lot of
Prudes.
fiber in
Figs are
there and
prudes.
prudes. When we got out of the car and hit the campsite, it was like the longest fart I'd ever heard in my life. It sounded like a cow mooing. Because he had tried not to fart in the car, but when he got out, he just couldn't help it. But he ate a whole bag of Fig Newtons.
I did not know she was going to tell this story.
I didn't either.
We have
Lorraine was
20,000 subscribers out there. They'll appreciate it.
Lorraine was like, Mindy, what are the questions I normally ask? I thought, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about
honey.
that.
I got stories. I got stories. We'll be fine.
All right,
we'll
good.
be fine.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was always just super skinny. He didn't have to worry about gaining weight till he hit about 50.
Huh.
And then all of a sudden he did. And I will tell you, on my 49th birthday, I flew out to visit my mom and my family, and it was just me. I think Jeff had something he had to do at work, so he couldn't go. And I was all excited, thinking, oh, it's going to be so neat to be with my mom and stuff and my girlfriends. And I woke up on my birthday morning, and I remember sitting out in the sunroom with my mom. And my mom looked at me, and she said, Gina, I need to tell you something. And my mom's a retired nurse practitioner. She wasn't retired then, though, I don't think. But she said, I need to tell you something real important. And I said, okay, Mom, And she said, you and Jeff are going to die early.
Oh my God.
You guys have got to lose weight. Jeff's has a heart attack waiting to happen.
Oh.
And I'm really concerned about you. You're hitting 50 and you're already this much overweight. What are you going to do after that? You're going to be going through menopause, and it's going to be worse.
Thanks,
and
Mom.
it's just going to pile on there.
Yeah.
Well, she was worried about me, though.
Yeah,
And she
yeah.
was a nurse, and she
Right.
knew it. She saw it. How many people do you see in their 80s that can't fit in this chair?
Yeah.
Not many.
Not many.
Not many. And she was really concerned. And it did hurt my feelings, though, because I was just like, oh, man, I thought this could be a fun trip.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Hey, your
Yeah.
husband are going to die early.
Yeah.
Oh. And so I was like, okay. And so then I worked at the
was true,
YMCA.
though.
It was true. And I worked at the YMCA, so I was on this lose 40 before 50. I had my little hashtag thing, and I started doing videos for the YMCA with it. And it just was so hard. Oprah did a special where about GLP-1s,
Yeah.
and they talked about how you feel like when you're dieting that someone is pushing your head underwater, and you're underwater trying to lose the weight. You're trying, and then all of a sudden you just can't hold your breath anymore,
Yeah.
and then you poof
Yep.
up to the top so you can breathe, and then you gain all your weight back
Exactly.
plus new pounds. And that's what it was like for me. And I tried so hard, and I had only lost about 11 pounds, and then poof, back up again.
Yeah.
It was just so hard. And then after we had type 2 diabetes, or I had type 2 diabetes, Jeff's not diabetic, we lost the weight, but it was so hard doing and we did it, so you can find it. We do have a playlist of our 444 plan, and we used to do the daily weigh-in, and he had funny music and a lot of different little things, or weekly weigh-in,
Yeah.
he had a lot of fun little things on there. But when I lost 47 pounds and Jeff was down 72, we went on a 1-week vacation with family. And my mom got one of those really big houses that you can
fun.
rent. And so I was there with my nieces and nephews, and they're all like college kids. So I mean, it was like a frat house. It was so much fun.
Every flat surface throughout the house had a snack on it.
Oh.
And alcohol too. So because we were all 21 and older.
Right.
So, oh my gosh, it was incredible. And I'm on the seafood diet.
Right.
know,
So you
seafood
saw
and
it.
The 444 plan back then.
Well, yeah, and I was trying to lose 50 pounds, and I'd gotten down to 47.
Yeah.
Jeff was down 72. In 8 days,
How much did you gain?
11 pounds.
Oh my God.
In
Yeah.
8 days.
Yeah.
And when you're
Now, wait,
eating
wait.
24/7 practically, and then you have to try to go back to 400 calories every 4, we couldn't do it.
Oh.
We would do it for like a day or two.
Yeah.
And then we just couldn't do it anymore. And boom, the weight just piled back on. I gained 39 out of the 47 pounds that I had lost. I had gained back pretty fast within like a couple of years. And
And I gained back about 30.
yeah, about 30 of it. So he's kept 40 pounds off. He does look a lot better. We'll show one of his before pictures too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he's kept a lot of it off because he's been following me where
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Now,
do
you
less.
told the fart story. Why don't you tell the story of what happened when she had a plan of having some vegetables with her to be able to keep up on being able to eat and not being snacking the whole time. What did you bring with you? What did you go and get? You don't remember? Because I remember.
I don't remember. What did I get?
She brought broccoli with her, and she put it in a steamer thing in the microwave. We have these
At the big
silicone
house,
steamers.
At the big
party
house.
house, the frat house.
Oh, with
And
all the
she
snacks, you got
cooked it.
broccoli. Yeah.
Yes. And then when she took it out and opened the lid and all the aroma of steamed
Broccoli.
broccoli filled the house, people came in afterwards and said, ugh.
Who farted? Yeah. And everyone was so appalled about my steamed broccoli and how I was stinking up the house. So
That was not an incentive
No.
to eat vegetables.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, because we tried. We
yeah.
had a plan, but I couldn't steam my broccoli because that's actually what would help me the most. Is I would eat a lot of steamed broccoli on the 4-4-4 plan.
Yeah. Fiber
vegetables.
fills
Eat
you
a lot of
up.
vegetables.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
sure.
it would fill me up.
Yeah.
And but I just did it one time, and they were just so
Aghast.
appalled and aghast that I would do that I couldn't steam my broccoli and gained 11 pounds in 8 days.
Oh my gosh, it's all their fault because they wouldn't let you steam your broccoli.
Like, dang it.
See what you did to me, family?
But
Yeah,
it was the,
no. Yeah.
my head had been underwater
Yeah.
for so long, and then
Right.
poof, popped
Yeah.
back up again. Now, when Mounjaro first came out, when it was fresh on the market, probably been out for a week or two, my doctor, Dr. Gannon, talked to me and he said, Gina, there's this new diabetes medication. I really would like you to try it. It's called Mounjaro. I've been following the studies. People with type 2 diabetes are losing like 50 pounds on it. And I was like, oh, that sounds good. So
Sign
we
me
wrote
up,
it on
yeah.
a piece of paper. It hadn't been, there was no commercials for it yet on TV. And he wrote it on a little piece of paper. And then we checked with our health insurance. And it would have been $1,400 a month for me on that. We don't have that kind of money. And so I couldn't do it. And so I just kept with the metformin. And my A1C did come down significantly because of the exercising and eating more fruits and vegetables and that kind of thing. But my weight was up. And then Jeff had a surprise diagnosis of bladder cancer.
Oh my goodness.
2 years ago? Let's see, we've had our van, it'll be 2 years on June 27th.
It was
And we'd had our van
January where it was the 1 year anniversary of my surgery.
That's right, January
January
3rd of
2025.
2024.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, January 3rd of 2024 was your successful
been a
bladder
blur.
cancer
Yeah.
surgery. That's right. And so you've had 1 year. January
Now,
3rd of 2025
just-
was your 1 year on that.
Just to clear this up, it was successful. The surgery was successful. They
Great,
got all the
that's good.
cancer out, and they saw that it had not invaded the muscle yet. And I go back to have a cystoscopy every 3 months. They look inside,
Cystoscopy.
and
Oh, they.
my last cystoscopy, they said my bladder is pristine.
Oh,
Which is what you
It's
want.
what you want. Yes.
yay! That's great.
Yeah, and it took two bladder cancer surgeries for it to be
Oh wow.
taken care of. But since his second surgery, the cancer hasn't come back. So
Well,
we're
great. That's
really,
great.
really happy about that. But every 3 months, it's still for another year. Every 3 months, he needs to be checked.
Yeah.
And then every 6, like usual with those
Right.
kinds of things.
Right.
And while he had his second bladder cancer surgery, we're like, hey, I think we hit for the first time ever, because we have like a high deductible health insurance. I think we hit it. I think we maxed out. I want to check about Mounjaro and see if that's covered. So there's and check at your work if anyone has a serious illness and you're getting a lot of medical bills coming in. A lot of times your workplace will have someone that it's their job to know how to guide you through all those medical payments, because sometimes you'll get a medical bill that you don't have to pay that. That's the first price before it goes through insurance and stuff. And so you don't want to pay that first and then have to wait for a refund.
Yeah.
And then it's confusing because if you don't know you need a refund, you could get a refund.
not looking for
you
it.
gotta pay on, you got to be on top of all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's really sad and scary how the health is in the United States with our insurance and stuff. But there is somebody, a lot of times if you work for a company, that it's their job that they'll be willing to help you for free. And so there was a special nurse that we were able to go through Jeff's bills, and I said, can you check and see if Mounjaro's covered for me now? And I'm like, and even if it's not, we've hit our deductible.
Yeah, so how much would it
maybe,
cost?
yeah, so maybe I can do it for a few months and get some of this weight up. And she checked, and sure enough, it was covered. So it went from $1,400 a month for me to $70.
Oh,
and then if
awesome.
you do the Mounjaro, and then you go on the Mounjaro website, also important. Eli Lilly's website. There's an opportunity that you can get a coupon. With that, and so I pay $25
Oh, that's
I'm
amazing.
so it's like amazing.
So the other part of that equation is, even if it's not covered now,
Maybe it'll be later.
recheck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and recheck because you never know because
Things change. The plans change,
and plans
right.
change. Even though it was the exact same health insurance that we were on through the school district.
Okay. All right. Good to know. So, so when did you start Mounjaro?
So I started Mounjaro. So Jeff's cancer surgery was on January 3rd of 2024, and I started on January 10th.
Okay.
Of 2024. So it's been 76 weeks. And I also want to say, because it's really important, and it's really important to me. We don't need to have shame. If you're carrying shame because you have type 2 diabetes, you don't need to carry that shame. When I was first diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, I was mortified, and I was not going to tell a soul. I was just going to tell Jeff and my doctor. I was not going to tell my mom, who's a retired nurse practitioner. I wasn't going to tell any other family members. I was going to tell no one. And I felt so ashamed. And then I talked to one of my girlfriends that I've had since high school. And I shared with her my diagnosis when it was just the two of us. And she said, oh, Gina, I've had type 2 diabetes for 20 years
Oh my
now."
gosh.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? And she said, I don't like to talk about it. I don't tell anybody. I don't like to talk about it. I was like, oh my gosh, you kept that secret for 20 years. And then I thought, And so then I shared with another girlfriend that I've had since high school.
And guess what happened?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
She's like, oh, Gina, I've had type 2 diabetes for 10 years. And I'm like, you never said anything. I don't like to tell people. I don't like to talk about it. I was like, all right. And then it really struck me. I wrote a book in 2019, which started my journey, Anchor Moments, Hope, Healing, and Forgiveness. And it's about how to forgive yourself, how to forgive others, and how to ask for forgiveness when you screw up. Because we all screw up at some point, you know, and we don't mean to hurt somebody's feelings or do something stupid, but we all will at some point. And how to ask for forgiveness. And I thought, you know, I need to take my own advice.
Oh.
I need to forgive myself and move on. And then I thought, you know what? If I had my first two girlfriends, I came out about type 2 diabetes, also as diabetic, but they're not telling anybody. There's an issue here.
Right.
And I don't want one other person in the world to feel like they need to be ashamed because they have a medical diagnosis.
Exactly.
And so I came out about it on my YouTube channel. And I think I called that one Type 2 and Feeling Blue, Try This. and I talked about it. And I talked about the shame that I felt and how to overcome it. And it just made me feel so much better. And then when I got my Mounjaro box and took it home, I was very afraid of needles. And the whole thought of giving yourself a needle in the stomach yourself. I mean, I don't give myself a regular shot.
Yeah.
I wince every time I have to poke my fingers that I finally got the Freestyle Libre, and I'm so much better. It hurts a lot less than doing a finger prick. I was scared to death. And I sat with my shot for so long trying to think if I'm going to put this in me. And then I also thought, am I going to share with friends and family that I'm taking Mounjaro when I'm starting to lose weight and stuff? Are they going to give me a hard time about it? Do I share about this?
And will you share the reaction that you have when you give yourself the shot?
Yeah, exactly. Do I share that too?
Yeah.
Jeff, come and tape this.
Yeah, I did. I did. I said, Jeff, come.
And what did I say? No, I don't want to do that. And he said, there's only one first time.
Yeah.
You have to do it for real.
Yeah, you got to stop what you're doing right now. You got to do this for real. And so he's, because there is only one first time. So he's like, okay. And you know what's interesting, which I do have a tip for people who are taking Mounjaro. If you take it straight out of the fridge, it's cold. Your needle's cold and the medicine is cold. You will feel that shock. Not that it's horrific or anything, but you're going to feel it because it's really cold and it's a little bit of like a cold sting. But if you have it out on the counter for 30 minutes, you're not going to feel it.
Right.
You're not going to feel it. And I didn't know that. It took me at least probably an hour. I mean, it took me a while before I called Jeff in and said, you got to tape this. So mine had probably been sitting out for an hour where I was working up the nerve to shoot myself in the stomach, you know? And so we do have that. That's actually probably my most popular video on my channel is me giving it the first time because you could, for anyone else who's nervous about it, you could feel it with me and then you could feel my relief when I'm like, hey.
Oh, that wasn't so bad.
Did it work?
Yeah.
I didn't feel it and I'm not bleeding or anything, you know?
Yeah.
And I had to look, well, I don't see
Any
the
liquid?
I don't see the liquid in
No
there.
liquid in there left.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no liquid in there. It's like the most amazing. It's like magic. You don't even know, and you wonder like, where did the liquid go? Because you can't feel it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it took me a long time for that first shot, and then I thought too, yeah, I'm not going to be ashamed of taking a medication that my body needs. I'm not going to be ashamed of that. And I don't feel that other people should be ashamed either. And if they can watch me do it and be honest, you know, and really open about these are my side effects. This is how it's going. And I'm not a fast loser. I'm down 42 pounds before we left on an RV trip and then left our van at my mom's and then flew out here for the cruise. So I don't weigh myself on the road. I will not weigh myself on any scale other than my scale at home. First thing in the morning, after I go to the bathroom naked, where it's just me on the scale. And I have a very fancy scale. It's the old-fashioned doctor ones, the balance beam.
with the deep.
So it's the real deal.
Okay.
And I will tell you, when I am home, I will weigh myself every day, first thing in the morning. However, and you need to know, your weight fluctuates. It depends. Did you eat something salty the day before? Did you poop or not? You know, there's so many things that makes a difference in your weight.
Yeah.
But the way that I do it, by weighing myself every single day, if I did once a week, what if I missed the one day that I really did poop?
That was always my fear. Yeah.
I had my low of the week.
Yeah.
What if the day that I, was a constipated day?
Exactly. You gotta get it every day.
Pounds,
Right. Right. No, I understand completely.
So if you watch my channel and I tell you how much I weigh, it might not be how much I weighed on Monday, but in the last 7 days, it's my lowest weight because that's what I really weigh.
Oh, that's what I should do.
That's what I'm serious, Frank. It's the way to go.
Yeah.
It's the way to go. Your lowest weight of the week, that's what you really are. So I'll do it every day of the week. And when you come back from a trip, either on a plane,
Wait a day.
car, yes. You never weigh yourself the next day because you're going to have some weird water weight from sitting on your butt, from the traveling stuff and the flying pressure, and the air pressure, all that. Yeah. So you give yourself like a couple of days grace and then you weigh yourself.
Yeah, good advice.
Yeah.
Good advice.
I'm giving you the best stuff. You're getting the best of anchor moments right now.
That's the best.
So you've been averaging basically a little under a half pound a week then. Is that right?
Well,
if I'm
it's
doing
kind
that
of
math.
like this. I'm more like I lose a pound or two in a week, and then I'll go 3 or 4 weeks where I ain't lost nothing. And then I'll lose maybe a pound, and then maybe I'll gain a pound, and then I'll lose a couple. So in the beginning, I lost weight faster, and now I have to tell you, I got Taisha sitting right here, and I watch her daily dose every day. So I'll give a little plug for Taisha. I think
Simply
Taisha.
Everybody needs a little dose of Taisha. You just do. So, so in all reality, I still love food. Mounjaro did not change that for me. My dad has type 2 diabetes. He took Mounjaro first. He lost 50 pounds in 5 months. He's a super responder.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, I went and visited him. The man has no appetite.
Oh.
None. When we visited him in Georgia, we stayed at his house not too long ago. He made us bacon and eggs. He had cinnamon rolls for us, and he cooked all this stuff, and he had a piece of white bread toast with a little bit of butter and jelly.
Oh, that's all he had was the white bread toast.
That's all he ate. And you can smell bacon. I mean,
Right.
come on. You know, the place smelled fabulous.
Yeah.
And that's all he had.
I
And
don't
then
like broccoli.
no, and he's not like broccoli.
Nobody ever complained about the smell of bacon, right?
No, exactly. And for dinner, he made my favorite eggplant parmesan. He's 100% Italian, so that's where I get my half Italian from him. And it was incredible. And he had about 3 bites, and he was done. I'm actually worried about him because he only eats maybe 500 calories a day, but he's just like, I don't have an appetite. And he said, my doctor's happy with all of his numbers. He takes vitamins and stuff.
Yeah.
But he gave up coffee. He gave up alcohol. But he says they don't call to him anymore. And he has zero appetite. And that's zero appetite. When you can cook bacon and not even have a bite of bacon, like, come on.
Sounds to me like his dose might be too high, but I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, no, I know.
Right?
I know,
doesn't
I'm
that what
telling
you
ya.
guys think? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'll have a funny video of me training him how to put his freestyle Libre on for the first time. Just haven't edited it yet, but it's going to be funny. So if you want to see a funny Italian guy who looks like Danny DeVito,
Oh my gosh. Oh my
you'll
gosh.
want to catch that one
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
a future plug. But me, I still have an appetite. I still get hungry. I love food. I'm still on the seafood diet. However, it's so much better. And so when I'm, I guess they call it being on a cut. Is that the word, Taisha? Being on a cut, where I'm really working hard to lose the weight. I'm really tracking all my stuff.
Yeah.
I'm more likely to lose a pound that week. But I'm hungry. I'm still hungry. I'm going to wake up and my stomach's going to grumble and I know, wow. I got a little
What dose are you
weird.
on right now?
What dose are you on right now? That's my
I
question.
just started 12 and a half.
Okay.
But I still have hunger.
Yeah.
But there's a difference. So yesterday we came on the ship for lunch. They had these cute little, when you first walked on, they had these cute itty bitty sandwiches. They were just so cute.
Oh,
There
I
was
missed
3
those.
flavors. It was where they had the free champagne too.
Free champagne? I miss free champagne. I demand a refund. All right, continue.
Big thank you to Lisa Tipton. I'm going to give her a shout out because she gave me the scoop on that. She said, I've already toured the whole boat. You got to come over here and there's free champagne. I'm like, score, let's do it.
So
'Cause
far, I
didn't
like
buy
the cruise.
Yeah, I liquored him up a little bit, so he had a few glasses, and I had to make sure he had a good time. And they had these cute little sandwiches, and there was 3 different flavors. So I got all 3, and they were like mini. And then they had all these cute little desserts that were mini. I mean, just you name it, it was there. It was just the cutest little things.
And cookies.
And cookies. And they had cookies
I like
too.
cookies.
Yeah. And so I looked at it and I looked at all the desserts and I'm like, okay, there's one that looks kind of like banana cream pie, where it's like a banana muffin and it had like this fluffy frosting on top, and it was really high with the little frosting. But I'm like, I'll have one of those. And I skipped all the other desserts on there, but I just picked the one that looked like it'd be my favorite, and then the 3 little sandwiches. And I had a couple glasses of champagne, and I was good. Now, pre-Mounjaro, before I'd done Mounjaro, oh man, I would have said, Jeff, let's have one of each of the desserts, and we'll split it, but we'll split one of each of the desserts, and the 3 sandwiches.
Yeah.
And when I had the banana thing, it was delicious, but I only ate half of it.
Oh, all right.
And then I gave the other half to Jeff,
Yeah. Well, I like that you picked the one that looked the best. Like you didn't
Exactly.
have to sample all of them that may have been just okay. You really
Right.
honed in on that one thing that looked the best. I liked that. You surveyed and made a
I
choice.
surveyed and made a choice because I only have so much of an appetite.
Right.
Now, everything tasted delicious. It tasted like it always tastes, with or without Mounjaro. It was delicious. Everything was delicious.
Yeah.
But when I ate that amount, I was done. I was
Yeah.
satisfied, and I couldn't finish that banana thing if I wanted to. And I saved it last.
Yeah.
That's also very important. If you have type 2 diabetes, eat your protein and vegetables first, and then your carb with it, and you're not going to have the big spikes. And you'll know by wearing if you wear a monitor, you can really watch that and see what it is for yourself. But registered dietitians, I'm not a doctor, but I'll tell you, that's what my registered dietitian told me too.
Yeah.
Eat your just eating in that
And
order
a
helps.
general good rule across the board.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So
There's a reason
anyway,
it's called dessert.
Yeah.
exactly. But I can tell you this, which is new for me. It's been 76 weeks, and I've kept off 42 pounds. That's well over a year.
Yeah.
Never in my life has that happened. Never, ever, ever have
Yeah.
I been able to lose weight and keep it
off.
off for over a year. And I'm not worried about maintenance because essentially that's kind of what it is. Like when I'm on this cruise ship, like last night, we had the fancy meal or whatever, and they came out with the fancy dessert thing, and I was like, my favorite dessert of all time is creme brulee. If there's creme brulee on there, I'm getting it, and if there's not, I might skip dessert. And I looked, sure enough, there was creme brulee, so I had the creme brulee, but I couldn't finish it. Pre-Mounjaro, I would have eaten every bite of that creme brulee. It'd been
Got any
gone.
more of that?
Yeah, you got any more of that? Exactly.
And they'll bring you whatever you want.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I couldn't finish it. But I ate,
Yeah.
ate at least half of it because
Yeah.
it was creme brulee. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, like normally when you're not on a cruise, do you track your protein? Do you track your calories?
Yeah. So here's what.
Yeah. She does it with a notebook. I do the MyFitness.
Oh, okay. You do the paper tracker.
I do my own paper tracker.
Yeah.
So what I do is I write the date on the top, and then I put exercise, and I put a little box so that way, I
Check.
can mark that up. I put fruits and vegetables. I need at least 4 servings in a day, and so I put my 4 little boxes there. Water, and then I put ovals, and then I'll write down how many ounces of water that I've had,
Yeah.
and then I write breakfast, what the item is, the calories, the protein, and the fiber. And that's, I wear Freestyle Libre. I'm doing okay. I don't track my carbs because if I'm eating enough protein and vegetables, my A1C is 5.6.
Oh, awesome.
Which is in the green. So I'm doing fine. So I'm not really worried so much about my carbs anymore, as long as I'm getting my fiber and my protein, and my calories aren't too bad. And I also know for my body, and talk to your doctor, but registered dietitians don't want women to go below 1,000. They want you to have at least 1,000 calories.
Yeah.
But you can ask your registered dietitian. Maybe it's different for you, but generally they want you to have at least 1,000 calories. And so I do not go below, because here's the thing: you think it's going to help. You think it's going to help, and I guess it helped my dad, but I'm worried about him.
Yeah.
If you go below 1,000 calories consistently, sure, you're going to lose weight in the beginning. It's just going to be flying off you. But then all of a sudden, you're going to be stuck. And it's the worst to be starving yourself and not lose any weight, because your body's going, oh my gosh,
I'm starving to death.
starve
Yeah.
me to death, and it's going to hold on to your fat and not release it.
Yeah.
And that's a big fat bummer, especially when food's still delicious. Like, why not?
Yeah.
So, so I make sure I eat at least 1,000 calories. I try to eat less than 1,700 if I can, but I kind of float between
those.
that. But I'm not worried about maintenance, because I now am like a regular person. I stop when I'm full. I don't
Crazy.
I
Yeah.
don't have to eat all the food on my plate.
What is that like? Yeah.
It was always part
Yeah.
of the Clean Plate Club.
Yeah.
And now I can leave something on my plate. And so Mounjaro lets me know that I'm full when I'm full. And so I can maintain easy peasy. That's like no stress, no worries. I can maintain this weight forever. But if I do want to lose, I've got to be a little uncomfortable, and I have to be comfortable with being a little uncomfortable. I'm still going to be hungry, a little bit hungry. What helps though, broccoli helps. Because it does give you a little fullness of gas in your tummy too, so it fills you up. And you eat it hot, because if you have things that are warm, that helps too. With warm sensation, so your hot teas and that kind of thing, hot broth. But warm will also make you feel a little more full. So I have to really concentrate on my vegetables when I'm trying to do a cut. So that way I'm not super hungry.
Yeah, I think that's always hardest for me, is getting enough vegetables in. Because I tend to just go for the protein, and I still like food. I still like bread. I still like all the carbs. So yeah, it's important to get those vegetables in too, to just kind of fill you up. So
Absolutely.
So talk about your side effects.
Okay, side effects. All right. I will tell you, I have had 3 Mounjaro spankings, and I do call them a spanking because that's what it feels like. And in 76 weeks, 3, and only 3. And so that's another piece of advice out there. If you're taking Mounjaro and all of a sudden, and what I call a spanking is when things come out of both ends at the same time.
oh my, okay.
That's
It
a
is not
spanking.
pretty.
It is not pretty. It is not fun. One of them happened to be in Vegas, and I do have a video about that, because I did a video for Saber. Because remember, I told you, I'm keeping it real. I'm keeping it real.
What
I
happened in Vegas?
stays in Vegas. This one didn't. I outed myself because I didn't want it to happen to anyone else. But and you learn when you get a spanking. If you could learn from it, you're not going to get spanked very often.
Right.
And what I had done is I had 2 lemon drop martinis, but not next to each other. It was hours apart between the lemon drop martinis, and I only had 2. But 2, I can't do more. The champagne was in a small glass.
Yeah.
And I wasn't eating anything too heavy with it. I was okay. But usually 1 drink, and I can't have more than that. And I don't drink every day. I mean, it's unusual when I drink, but every now and again I do.
Right.
Socially. But usually now I know 1 and done for sure. But I had 2 lemon drop martinis, which I might
With
have
a
been
sugar
okay
rim, right?
with. Oh yeah. Oh, I put the sugar rim on there. Oh yeah. You gotta make it tasty,
Yeah.
Make it worth it,
Yeah.
So, but we also had with dinner, I ordered the fish, which was good. It was grilled fish and vegetables, so I thought I was doing okay. But they had a crab bisque soup, and it was so good. Oh my gosh, it was amazing.
Was it rich?
Oh, it was so rich and thick and creamy. Oh. And then with the lemon drop martini with it. And the thing is, you don't even know, you don't get in a spanking right away. You don't eat a bite and go, oh, I gotta run to the bathroom. No!
Unless you're
It
Christopher
comes
Durham.
hours later.
Yeah.
So, I thought this is delicious, this is great. And I thought, wow, the grilled fish.
Right.
So it was okay that I had the super, probably 2,000 calorie cup of lobster bisque or, crab bisque. It was like lobster bisque, it was crab. But it sits in your stomach because it takes a while for your stomach to empty. So having that lemon drop martini, a couple
The
of those
acid
in there.
and the dairy are rough together. You're curdling things.
Yeah, and then I had all that crab bisque. I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, uh-oh, this does not feel good. And boom, Jeff had to run down to see if he could get barf bags for me so I didn't make a big mess in the fancy hotel bathroom. But we did work it out okay, so I didn't leave a big mess. So, but it was not fun. It was really awful. And I forgot to bring with me on my trip Tums Pepsid Complete, which also really helps. So if I have just like a slightest little, not 100% sure, I can take a quick Tums. But if I'm like, uh-oh, this doesn't feel so good. If I take a Pepsid Complete, and I don't do it very often, but every now and again, that a lot of times will prevent a spanking from happening. But I had none of those things, so I had nothing to help stop this thing. And it's just
It just
terrible.
had to go through you.
It just
Right.
had to go through me and out. So I didn't gain weight on that trip. So that was a good thing. I did not gain weight, but I did get a spanking. So if you're getting a lot of spankings, you need to check what you're eating. If you're, because the combination for a Mounjaro spanking, maybe not for everybody, but for some of us, the combination is high fat, high salt, throw some sugar on there or a little alcohol on there. Boom.
Wait,
and
that's a don't do, right?
that's a don't do. That's a don't do.
Yeah.
You put all of that together and not carry Tums or Pepsid Complete or whatever stomach ache medicine makes you feel good, which, by the way, you do need to talk to your doctor about it, because I didn't know everybody can take Tums.
Oh,
It's
yeah?
been on the market forever. There are some medications that you cannot have Tums with.
Oh.
I learned that from my good friend Robin Lockwood, who also watches your show and my show. I don't know what medication she takes, but there's something, and she can't have Tums with it. The calcium in it. Just like, I don't know if a lot of you have heard that there are some medications you can't eat grapefruit. I mean, grapefruit. Come
like
on. It's a
Allegra,
fruit. It's
yeah.
got vitamin C. It's delicious. It should be good for you. Not if you're taking some heart medications and
Yeah.
things. You can't have grapefruit.
The-
Oh, well,
So it's important to
so
talk
it's
about
important.
not only your prescription medication, but also your over-the-counter kind of things with a pharmacist
oh,
or
right. Or
Yeah.
your doctor.
Or your doctor, yeah. And it is amazing. Pharmacists are fantastic, and they're everywhere.
and they're free.
And they're free, and they're at the grocery store. There's pharmacies that, Walgreens, CVS, all those kinds of things.
As long as they know how to run that coupon, I'm all.
Yeah,
Otherwise, yeah.
There you go. But the thing is, it doesn't even have to be your pharmacist. If you're shopping at that store, you just
Go ask
walk up to that question window, and you have to tell them, these are my diseases and the medications I'm taking. And they can look it up if they don't know it just off the top of their head, because they do go to college for this.
Right.
They study this. This is their job. Their job is to entirely know what the side effects are for all these medications and what you can take together and what you can't. And you can ask them, but it's really important to do that, even if it's a Tums or something, over the counter.
Yeah, that's a
but
great idea.
Find out what can you take, because that's an important thing, especially if you're new to Mounjaro. Find out what you can take, because sometimes you have these side effects in the beginning and then they go away because your body's getting used to it. That's why they start you off on a low dose, to get your body used to it. And but now I travel, even though it's been probably a couple months since I've had a Tums or a Pepsid Complete, but I have them on me because I'm
Yeah.
not going to travel without it.
I have
'cause-
Tums in the cabin.
Yeah, just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to know what works for you, right? Because
Exactly.
I'll chew on a Tums, and Christopher's like, ooh, that does nothing for me.
I don't
So
think it just doesn't work.
doesn't work for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Zantac,
Yeah.
Prilosec, I'm all in.
there you go. Exactly. And for me, Pepsid Complete, because it's a much stronger over-the-counter med. And so, I'll give it like the one Tum if it's just like a little, but if it's a little bit bigger and I think, there might be a spanking coming, I'll quick put to that. Oh, and Gas X. I really like Gas X too. And if it's really bad, I take the Gas X with the Pepsid Complete. I'm good.
Oh, right.
I think that's gonna stop a spanking in its tracks.
Can you take those with Fig Newtons?
Or broccoli. Yeah.
Or broccoli.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
And then, but the main, so the spankings are unusual, but they happen, but they're unusual.
Yeah.
My main side effect is constipation, but I was that way before Mounjaro.
Yeah.
I kind of lean constipation, so
It
that's
just
the
kinda
direction
made it
I'm
a
normally
little bit
going to
worse.
go.
Your wife was always full of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't say it. I was thinking it, but
Well, he says that because that's my situation also. So that's what he says about me too.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
agree. Yeah,
So
it
the
is what it
constipation. Is there any remedies you have that you like for constipation?
Yeah, so if you look at my old videos, and there's an important tip here. I was using fiber gummies because I had a family member who also has battled constipation his whole life, and he eats fiber one cereal, which I used to always tease him and call it colon blow.
Colon blow. That
Eat
Saturday
your
Night-
colon blow from the
The Saturday Night Live skit. Super colon blow.
Super
Yeah.
colon blow. And so I asked him, because I thought, he eats, but I said,
Yeah.
I can't eat colon blow. What else do you do? And he said, fiber gummies. And he even bought me my first jar of fiber gummies.
Yeah.
Probably really all brands are probably fine. The one he gave me was Vitafusion, and they're tasty. So, but see, that's a problem. So this is important. This is important.
I know where this
tip
is going.
here, okay?
There's another spanking coming. I feel it.
No, it's the opposite.
Oh.
So this is really important. So, you're getting the best of banker moments here. It's all the best stuff right here. Okay. So those fiber gummies, number one, they're delicious. They're delicious. It's a little
they're
candy.
gummies.
They're a gummy. And I had them in the kitchen. So, I walk through the kitchen and I think,
Seafood. I see food. I eat it.
Exactly. So I'll have a couple of gummies, And I'd had, I don't know, like a few through the day, thinking that this is going to help me. Okay. Well, another thing that I tell, so don't be ashamed that you're having to take medication. Don't be ashamed that you have type 2 diabetes. If you do, don't be ashamed if you've had to battle obesity, because we've discovered that it really is a disease, and I don't want anyone to be ashamed for who you are. Okay, don't. But there's another one, and the other one is women do not talk about their periods after they're done having babies. We just don't. We don't. It doesn't come up. We don't talk about it. But this one little piece that I'm going to say could save your life or your mom's life or your wife's life. Women know, most women know, that because you hear it from your doctor, if you go 12 months without a period, that's menopause. Everything before that is premenopause. And then you're 12 months without a period is menopause. If you have even a drop, the tiniest drop of blood after that 12 months, you must see a doctor, and you need to see a doctor immediately. Within the week. You don't have to go to the ER, but you need to see a doctor within the week, because that can be a sign of cancer. No one tells you this.
I've never heard that.
Nobody tells you this.
Anybody heard that in here?
Some have,
some haven't.
Many might have heard it from me.
Any minor cramping.
Okay.
As minor as it is, very important, because I had it.
Oh,
See,
wow.
exactly.
Both together.
Yes, and I will tell you, I would have died of uterine cancer.
Oh my
God. This is just last year. So I started taking Mounjaro on January 10th. Jeff had his second cancer surgery that was finally successful, was January 3rd. Well, January 27th, it was my 13th month of not having a period, and dang, I had a little bit of bleeding. And it made me, when I was talking to my mom, because I was talking about him, he was still on his catheter and all that kind of stuff from his surgery. And I said, gosh darn it, Mom, I finally finished menopause. I was done with my 12 months, and I knew it was 12 months because I do a charity event every December that I'm in charge of. And the December before, I'd had a bunch of months without a period, and then I had a period because I was stressed out from that charity event, being in charge. I love the event, but when you're the head person in charge, there's an extra amount of pressure and stress, even though it's a good stress. It started my period, but that was my last one. And I said, gosh, dang it, Mom. I was so excited. I went to that charity event, and I didn't have a period, and I had my full 12 months, but Jeff's surgery was so stressful for me.
Sorry.
I started a period. My period started today, dang it. And I thought I was done. And my mom is a retired nurse practitioner, and she said, whoa, Gina, you've got to see a doctor right away. And I'm like, what?
Why? Yeah.
And I said, why? And she said, now that you're in your 13th month without a period, you're now post-menopausal, and that's called post-menopausal bleeding. And I'm like, okay, because I never heard of that before. So I went to my doctor, and he was out of town. So I saw the nurse practitioner, and she did a pap smear, and she also sent me for an ultrasound. And son of a gun, I had bad cells. And she said, you need to see a gynecologist. I'd not seen a gynecologist since my son was born 26 years ago. I loved my doctor. He was my one-stop shop, you
Right.
know? And I was always healthy until I had electric feet and legs and,
Right.
and had type 2 diabetes. So, and he was my diabetes doctor. He was my everything. He really, really trusted and loved him. And so I hadn't seen a gynecologist in 26 years. And then they did all the stuff. And,
Yeah.
and May 10th of last year, I had to have a total hysterectomy.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And when they took and I had to see an oncologist gynecologist because my new regular gynecologist that I do have now said, you have the high grade precancerous stuff. And what if we open you up and there's more cancer and there's real cancer in there? You really need to see an oncologist gynecologist. So when he took all my stuff out and talked to me afterwards, he said, you are so lucky because you had a lot of it, that if you would have waited a year, you would have had full-blown cancer.
Oh my goodness.
And I would have sat on it.
Yeah.
I would have sat on it. I would have just thought, oh man,
It's back.
It's
Oh,
back.
well, yeah.
Stress and whatever. Hopefully it's going to be over at some point. I'm getting kind of old now, you know.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have done anything about it. And I wouldn't have talked to my girlfriends about it because you don't talk about that anymore.
No.
You talk about hot flashes, night
Yes.
sweats. That's it.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, there's more to menopause than that. There are more things, and I do have a menopause playlist if you want to chat about that.
Sounds like
you know,
big fun.
Taisha, we have to check that out.
yeah. So I have a lot of that too, and shout out to Mel B, who said she watched some of my stuff and it helped her with some things too. But
Yeah.
so I have a playlist on that. So there's nothing that I'm not going to tell you, because you know what? One lady contacted me. You know, when I do these videos, and I'm sure you probably do the same thing, it's the power of one. Your time is worth it. If your video, if anyone out here is thinking about doing a channel, you only have to help one person. If each video, and even if it made someone smile that day, or laugh that day, or decide, I'm not going to be ashamed of being diabetic anymore, whatever. But if there's one person, then it's worth it. Well,
So
the
true.
day that my mom had told me, Gina, you better get checked about this. Well, the next Monday, because every Monday I go live with my Mounjaro Monday Lives, I talked about it and I said, listen, guys, put your hands on your ears and go, la, 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 la. I'm going to talk about my period for a minute, because women don't talk about this.
Yeah.
And I mentioned it. Well, there was a lady named Claudia. And Claudia is like 61 or something like that. So she hadn't had a period for a while. And the day before, when she was in the bathroom and wiped, and she was like, what's this?
What's
Is
up?
it's kind of light pink. And she held it up to light. What is light pink? You know, that just seems kind of odd. You know, was my toilet paper dirty? You know, like, what did I drop on there? I wasn't drinking Kool-Aid? Like, what the heck? What is that? And then she flushed the toilet, didn't worry about it. That was just weird. And then
She
she
saw
watched
your
my
video.
show the next day and went, oh,
Oh.
you know, I haven't done my yearly check in a while. Maybe I should see my doctor. So she did her wellness check, and she went in and she said, okay, a couple of days ago I had this weird little dot. I'm not sure if it was blood or not. It was just kind of odd. And her doctor went, oh, no amount of blood's good, honey. Let's do a pap smear right now. And do know, once you hit 50, if you don't have the HPV virus, they don't give you a pap smear every year anymore. They say, you're, and especially if you're always with the same partner and you're not, doing weird sex or anything. They're like, you're good. You're good. I don't need a pap smear every year.
I think mine's like every 3 years, maybe, or something.
Yeah. It's like every 3 years instead of every year. Well, it's been 3 years for me, because even Dr. Gannon, he'd always say, did you see a gynecologist? And I'd say, nah, and he'd go, okay. And then I remember when he told me, hey, you're good. We don't have to do this every year. But you can see a gynecologist if you want to. And I'm like, nah, it's all right.
Who would do that?
Yeah, and I don't know. And so it'd been 3 years for me. So who knows how long my crap was starting to grow, But anyway, it'd been a little while for her too. So she had her pap smear, and then her doctor was really smart, and she said, you know what? Would you mind if I also give you a punch biopsy right now too? And she said, okay. And it is.
I don't know what that is, but I don't want to know.
All right, so I'm going to tell you.
Kelly says no.
A punch biopsy.
Kelly knows.
You know, paper hole punch? Where it had like a little circle?
You're okay.
Well,
So
I don't know.
squeamish.
It's so they do
doctor
give
didn't
you a
go to
little something.
Staples.
Yeah, no Staples. But it is, because I never heard of a punch biopsy either, but I did have to have one. So it's kind of like a paper hole punch, where they just take out like a little piece of skin up high.
It's not like an apple
inside.
core.
Yeah, and they take a little bit out, and then they send it to a lab and
Yeah.
check your cells.
Yeah.
And check your cells, and it does have a pitch. I'm not going to lie. You do feel it. It's not a no feel thing. There is a
Right.
little sensation, even though they give you a little something to try to numb the area. There is a little sensation. It's not that bad though. It just lasts, a few seconds of whoop. Okay, but it does give you a whoop.
Wait, was it less painful? Was it less painful than giving your injection?
Oh, you can't feel the injection. And if you take it with out of the refrigerator, you feel a little. It's more than it's a little bit more of a sting than a cold Mounjaro shot. But she had the punch biopsy done. Her doctor called her back 2 days later and said, "I'm so sorry, Claudia, but you have stage 1 uterine cancer,
Oh, shit.
and you need a hysterectomy immediately."
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And so she had her hysterectomy. Didn't tell me. She's one of my viewers that never comments, and she was a viewer back when I was doing a lot of the people sharing their stories that have anchored their faith. She'd been a viewer for years.
Oh, wow.
For those reasons, and then she ended up with type 2 diabetes. So then she was watching that playlist, and then she started Mounjaro, so she started watching that playlist too. So she was really my one of my
Soul
true
sister.
soul
Yeah.
sisters. But she never put comments on my channel. And but she had her hysterectomy on February 14th on Valentine's Day. So I mean, it was really fast. And my first bleeding was on the 27th. So whatever the Monday was that was close to that was the Monday I went on, because I wanted to be sure if there was one person in this world who needs it, that power of one. Well, my power of one was Claudia. And she had her hysterectomy, and I don't know, and she doesn't write anything or anything. And then a few months later, I started asking both my Anchor Moments RV YouTube channel people and my Anchor Moments community to pray for Jeff, because every 3 months I get a stomachache because I'm worried about him, because he did have the high-grade bladder cancer. So there is a good chance that it might come back, and so you have to be on top of it. And so I ask everybody to pray for him. But I really believe in my prayer warriors, and I don't want to wear them out. So the second that we're done with the office visit, in the parking lot of the urology office, we'll do a live on both channels at the same time to let everyone know he's good.
Oh, good.
And
Yeah.
Jeff's like, my bladder's pristine. He's so proud of it. It's all so good. And so then we let him know, thank you for your prayers, and we're good to go, and we can travel again, because that's how we know we can travel again.
Right.
Because we can't, we don't know until he passes
Gets the
his
clear.
test and he gets his clearance. Well, when I did that particular one, I pulled out a little Jesus out of my pocket, and one of my friends,
A little
had given me this-
Jesus, like a Jesus figure.
Yes,
It's pocket
okay.
Jesus.
I'm so sorry. I don't have it in my pocket right now, darn it.
Okay.
He's actually in my safe right now, keeping my Visa safe.
It's a good place for him.
That's right. I put my little
Jesus
right now.
is everywhere.
He's
right.
everywhere, but he's also in my safe, guarding my wallet and stuff.
Yeah.
But a
Don't
friend
steal
of mine
this.
gave me
Yeah.
this cute little Jesus. It's about this big. Hey, Lisa, you got a Jesus on you? Yeah. Toss me Jesus. She's got the same Jesus.
Pocket
Your
Jesus.
pocket,
Yeah,
your own
Lisa carries
personal,
a pocket Jesus. She showed me yesterday. She has the same Jesus I have.
your own personal
There's
Jesus.
Your own personal Jesus. But anyway,
Any Depeche Mode fans out there?
I had shared with everybody that
Flying Jesus. Okay.
Jesus.
Oh, it's,
Jesus. There you go.
Oh, I've seen those.
yeah.
See this really cute little
Yeah, I've seen
pocket
those
Jesus.
before.
So I had a little Jesus in my pocket, and I pulled him out. Oh no!
Sorry, Jesus. Yeah. All right.
Oh, goodness gracious. So when I did the live, and I thanked everyone for praying, I thanked my friends for giving me the little Jesus, because I said I had him in my pocket, and I was just rubbing him while I was praying for him during his cystoscopy, and I pulled him out. Well, son of a gun, Claudia, she buys these on the internet, 300 at a time, and she gives them out to people. She says everybody needs a little Jesus, so that she gives them a little Jesus, which is so cute. And she had a little Jesus, and she saw me with my little Jesus, and she's like, that's it. I've got to tell this woman she saved my life. So she looked me up on Facebook and private messaged me, which I don't always get because, usually it's, someone who's a widow who thinks they have a great smile, all that kind of baloney stuff that you get. So I don't always look for those, but I just happened to take a peek, and she said, she showed me this little Jesus, and she put him on the beach. It's this beautiful picture. I have to send you the picture so you can put on there. And he's on the beach. And she said, you need to know that you saved my life. And I was like, what? Because I was like, I like, what's going on? And then she told me what happened. And she said it saved her because she would have sat on it. She wouldn't have thought anything. And that cancer would have just kept growing until we finally, maybe the really bad cramps and you feel like crap. And then you go to the doctor and then it's grown to where it's like really bad, you know?
Right.
And exactly twice the size, and you don't want that to happen. You want to see your doctor right away. So anyway, she said she had her on Valentine's Day. She had her hysterectomy, and then she had to do chemotherapy too because it was the full-blown stuff. So she had chemotherapy. As soon as she was done with chemotherapy, her doctor asked her, "So Claudia, what do you want to do with the rest of your life?" And Claudia said, "I'm so tired. I want to rest. I want to, I just want to rest." And he said, "You know what? Nurse, bring me my prescription pad." And so the nurse came in with a prescription pad, and he wrote on it, number 1, your son's to make you dinner every night. And then he said, and number 2, in 6 months, you're to go to Hawaii. And
all
she
right.
sent me a copy of that prescription pad. And she said, and right now, I'm in Hawaii.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was a Monday. And I was like, oh, Claudia, I haven't done my Mounjaro Monday Live. You want to be on? And she's like, sure.
Oh my gosh.
So that's on my playlist too. So on the Mounjaro journey, I don't know, you could look through, but Claudia, guest Claudia. And then she shared her story there and said how important that was. And she said, and it was the little Jesus where she was like, when she saw I had a little Jesus too, she's like,
she knew she had to
woman.
tell you. Yeah. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
That's
so the
great.
power of one.
Yeah.
And there was something I was going to do with bleeding. I can't remember. What was it?
I think the question was.
Oh, constipation.
Oh,
The fiber gummies. Sorry. The fiber gummies.
yeah, that was his best. So, this is exactly what happens with Lorraine. And I'm thinking,
You're like, why am I
thank you.
telling this story? The fiber
Sounds
gummies.
like did the fiber
Jesus,
gummies have something
the fiber-
I don't
Jesus-
remember.
It does have something to do with it. It does. I swear to you.
Well, and then
I
I'm
swear
like,
to you.
I don't know, I'm a guy. I'm just going to be quiet. I don't
swear
see
to
where
you,
I'm at
yes.
in this.
Okay, the fiber gummies. This is real important. So, when I had my second ultrasound, because I'd had the premenstrual bleeding, and when I had my second ultrasound, and I had it at my gynecologist office because she said she has a better ultrasound machine than the other place that I went to. So I had to do hers, and she went into the room and looked at me and she said, "Oh my God, woman, do you ever poop?" She's like, "You are so backed up with poop. We can't see your ovaries. You are just so full of, you know what?"
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And she's like, and I said, "Yeah, I look like a little bit every day. I eat, fiber gummies." And she said, "How many fiber gummies you eating?" And I said, "I don't know. Every time I go in the kitchen, I'll have a couple. I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 a day."
Oh.
And she's like, "Oh, do you read the back of the jar?"
It's supposed to be 2.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's the scoop, people. It's the opposite problem. It's not going to give you diarrhea, eating extra gummies. It's going to stop you up. It's going to do the opposite problem.
Yeah.
You cannot eat a bunch of fiber gummies. It will block you, and so.
Plus, when you do eat the 2, aren't you supposed to take
Drink
lots of
water. You need to be chugging some water with those fiber gummies because it's going to need all that water. And if you're eating 8 of them, holy crap, you need a garden hose.
Well, so
full port.
it's soluble fiber. So when it hits water, it goes like this and expands. So if you have 5, 6, 7 of those in your stomach, it's just gonna.
Turn to concrete.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah, concrete. Yeah, and I had a lot of it because I've been doing it for weeks. I was
So,
loving them fiber
Are you
gummies.
saying maybe another tip is to read the package?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I took 1-a-day vitamins for years, and I read the back of the package, and it said I was supposed to take 2.
But they're called one a day.
I was like, what?
Why is it two?
It's
One a day. Yeah.
One a day.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
important to read.
Important.
So how did you clear
and then
that?
She said, she told me I needed to take Colace, and
Oh.
she said, start with a couple a day. You just keep going and taking it until it's like an ice cream, like a soft serve ice cream cone comes out. That's exactly what she said to me. So I started taking some of that, and that helped some. And then I needed the surgery, and I was worried about that. Also, before you have your surgery, if any surgery, you have got to let your surgeon know if you're taking a GLP-1.
Right.
Because guess what? They're worried about your cancer or your knee or whatever. They're not your diabetes doctor. There's something else that they're taking care of you. You know how thick your medical file might be? Do you think they have time to read through all that? They don't. They rely on you to let them know the highlights. And you taking a GLP-1, that's a highlight. They need to know that because things empty out of your stomach slower. So if they tell you, like a normal person who's not on a GLP-1, they're going to say, don't eat for 12 hours, stop your liquids at midnight or whatever, and that's it. But if you're taking Mounjaro, you need to stop or Zepbound or Ozempic, Wegovy, whatever it is, you've got to stop it at least a week or more before your surgery. And you have to talk to your surgeon about it so he knows you're taking it, and he'll tell you when to stop taking your shot before your surgery. Because that's real important, because if you still have a little bit of something in your stomach, you can aspirate that into your lungs and you can die from that. You do not want to die on the operating table. So you absolutely have to. So it's another important life lesson tip.
Yes.
Don't think just because your doctors are not God, and they call MD, it's a medical practice. They're practicing medicine.
Yeah.
Medicine changes all the time, and we're all a little different. There's some people here that would never have diarrhea taking Mounjaro. There's other people that would have diarrhea every day. It's different for everybody because everybody's biology is just slightly different. You're going to react differently. But your doctor doesn't have time to read through that big, thick, except for, the doctor you see all the time. If you have one that you have a long relationship, like Dr. Gannon, he knew all my stuff. He knew I almost never come in to complain. But if I complain about something, it must be huge. It's important. He also knows my mom's triage too. So I always call her first. Do I need to see my doctor? And then she'll let me know. And then, or do my kids need it?
Yeah.
And then, so when I'm in there, it's because I need to be there.
Yeah.
What about Miralax?
Okay, so thank you, Jeff. So I started taking Miralax when I had my surgery because anesthesia will constipate you. If you are on Mounjaro or not, anesthesia is very constipating. And I knew that was a thing too. So I took Miralax and Colace together.
That's a cocktail.
A cocktail before my surgery and after my surgery for a few days. And then I was like, okay, I don't think I need the Colace anymore. So then I was just sticking to the Miralax. And then, I don't know, it's like a couple weeks after my surgery, I had to see my surgeon to go over test results and all that kind of stuff and check everything. And I told him, I said, it's going to be a bummer going off Miralax because it's really nice pooping every day and having a good poop. And he said, oh, Gina, with the things that you take, because, looking at my medical history and the things that I take, he's like, you could take Miralax every day for the rest of your life and it wouldn't hurt you. And I was like, oh, score. So I don't take it every day, but I take it most days. Most days, and that helps me. But I'll tell you, it doesn't because I kind of run constipated anyway. So
Yeah.
it
just helps.
It just kind of helps.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, it's not like a colonoscopy. You don't take the whole bottle. You just take the capful.
Yeah.
But when you have a colonoscopy, you take the whole bottle. So,
Oh, I
just a
know.
little bit. But that's
Yeah.
how I combat. That's the long answer of how I combat.
Sometimes I listen to these stories and I'm like, as a man, I don't really see where I'm going to add anything to this conversation. I don't know how fiber connected to that, but okay.
But it did, because that's how I found out
Yeah.
that I was
Yeah.
hurting myself with fiber gummies. If I wouldn't have had that ultrasound and had
Yeah.
the doctor just come in laughing, I mean, she just thought that was so funny. Like, what the heck? She hadn't seen that much poop in a long time. And so I'm like, what are you doing? But it was all those fiber gummies.
Yeah, that's good to know. I mean,
Yeah.
I take fiber gummies, but usually I
Now,
limit myself to two.
Yeah. Now if I do, and
Yeah.
I don't do it every day, but every
Yeah.
now and again I got the munchies of a couple of fiber
Those
gummies.
are different gummies.
That's funny. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I think somebody was worried about bringing fiber gummies on board the cruise. That was Mindy,
Yeah.
because they thought maybe they'll think they're a different kind
Kind
of
of
gummy
gummy,
other than
yeah.
fiber. And
Yeah.
Did they make it on the ship? Did they? Okay, all right.
Oh,
Good
good.
news.
Good,
Good
good,
news.
good.
Yeah. Only take two, Mindy. Only stop
Yeah.
at two. Okay. Noted.
Noted, just
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
plenty of water.
Yeah.
So why don't well, first of all, Dennis, why don't you show the viewers the crowd here?
Yeah, we got a great crowd. This is the first time we've done this.
Yay.
For Anchor Moments too with the crowd. That's fun.
Hi. So everybody's wearing their Downsized at Sea. Well, most everybody. I think everybody. Their cruise
Donna, we have
T-shirt.
yours.
Oh, Donnie.
You left yours in the dining room. We have yours.
Yeah, I have your bag, Donna.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, Jeff and Gina. We appreciate you being on the cruise and being on the Downsized Dish.
Well, thank you. It was so fun. We'd love to have you on Anchor Moments
Oh,
as well in the
yeah.
future. I think that would be really fun.
We'll definitely do that.
So if you haven't visited their channels, they have two channels. Let me see if I can get this right. Anchor Moments on YouTube, right? Is your original channel, and Anchor Moments RV. You're into the RV thing as well, so you guys go check it out. Make sure you subscribe after you finish here.
Yes.
If you haven't already liked and subscribed to the Downsized, please do. We publish every day, and there's always something new and exciting. And if you'd like to be on a Downsized Dish, how can they do that?
You can send me an email. My email address is lorraine@thedownsized.org, LARAINE@thedownsized.org. I'd love to interview each and every one of you for the channel. You may not have stories for days like Gina, but everybody really has a very personalized story when it comes to GLP-1s. And I love hearing other stories and learning something like we learned from you today, like when to see your doctor as a woman post-menopausal. So that's very important. Thank you for bringing that to our attention, because I'd never heard that before.
No, I hadn't either.
Yeah, yeah.
That was news to me.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks you guys for joining us today, and see you next time on Downsized. Bye.
Thanks, Nick.